Now, down in the assembly area, all the bikes have started up. I cannot tell you how noisy it is. It's like an angry swarm of bees. There's whistles going off. The riders are all with their bikes now. But what I love is that some of them, the racing drivers have been walking through. Emanuele Pirro, 5-time Le Mans winner, walking up and down, having a look at the bikes. Stoffel Van Dorn, one of the younger motor racing drivers here, he was walking down, having a look. There's Stuart Graham as well, who's obviously a motor driver as well as a rider, and one of the few guys who managed to sit across both disciplines. James Hillier's arrived with his gold. We'll just turn round. I'll tell you what, Ed, let's try and get out of the way a bit, because it's getting a little bit busy. So we spin round, we can see we've got James Hillier behind, talking to George Thomas, who's having a quick drink. He's going to be starting with the bike. We obviously got the amateurs first, or the owners, and then James Hillier will jump on. A lot of these bikes have got rollers in order to start, but others you actually have to push down the assembly area to get them fired up. So not only is it very noisy down here, it's also quite lethal, as you can see. So I'm going to go back behind the safety of that fence.
So we wait then for the Barry Sheene Memorial Trophy. My name's Keith Ewan, alongside me, Martin Haven. We are going to be looking at this race with, well, mathematicians' eyes, I must say, because it's an aggregate. The overall winner, second place, third place of this race will be the aggregate from yesterday's Barry Sheene Memorial race, part 1, and this one, part 2. So despite the fact that there seems to be 3 bites of the cherry here, you can win a race each, and you've got to aim for the aggregate. But worse than that,
Lord help us,
it all depends on penalties. There are a few dished out yesterday that counted. Late pit entries for the 11 and 18 bike. That's Laverty came in, Eugene Laverty, a little bit on the late side as well. And the 18 machine of Ian Hutchinson and Tony Perkin came in a little late. They got a 30-second penalty in the end because they collected one for speeding as well. So lots of penalties. The problem is, Martin, there is no way that you can judge an old motorcycle like this at 20 miles an hour. 20 miles an hour is a bit short even for the bottom gear.
Well, what's the one thing you don't need on a racing car or a racing motorbike? You need a rev counter. You don't need a speedo. And yeah, knowing what revs it's doing in bottom gear at 20 is going to be tough. I'm actually surprised that only 4 got pinged for speed.
But back in the day, your rev counter wasn't accurate. It could be flicking all over the place when you're pulling low revs. From the vibration of the motorcycle, for instance, used to move the needle anywhere. You hardly needed any. In fact, the motorcycle next door to you could be moving your needle. So they roll out then, out of the grid, onto the grid.
So what we're going to look at here is effectively race 2. We'll look at that result, and then somebody much cleverer than you and I will hopefully give us an aggregate result. If the timing screen gives us an aggregate result, it won't tally to what we're seeing on the screen, and we don't need any more confusion.
Fastest lap yesterday, Josh Brookes in a 1 minute 30.447. That's significant for several reasons. Brookes, you'll be quite happy to have that. He's not having a great year in BSB, British Superbikes at the moment. So the number 55, Josh Brookes, it will be Ben Kingham that's on it, obviously, to start with today, because the AM riders, the amateur riders, not the pro VIP riders, the AM riders kick off today, so the pros will finish the race today. It was the opposite way round yesterday on Saturday, but fastest lap gets the Mick Hemmings Fastest Lap Award. Now, Mick Hemmings was a stalwart of the revival, a Norton rider, very, very fast and underrated. If you remember back in the day, he was the one that pipped Barry Sheene for the win here, and it went wholly against the script, shall we say. So Mick Hemmings, unfortunately, died 18 months ago. Not injuries, I have to say, or at least I don't think it was at all. So died of natural causes, but died by his bench, which I think is poetic in Mick's case. I knew him very well, he was one of my best friends. And Mick Hemmings, the Fastest Lap Award will be coming via Angela Hemmings, his wife.
Now, there was one practice session for the Barry Sheene Memorial Trophy, which set the grid, and that grid remains as it was for race 2. So you don't start in the order that you finished, we don't reverse the top 10 or anything else, so the grid remains the same. So it is the matchless of James Hillier and George Thomas that will be the bike at the front of the line. Again, they won't be lined up 3 and 2 and 3 and 2 as the cars are. They'll be lined up along the pit wall in herringbone, just as the Le Mans start demands.
But the interesting part, Martin, is there are 1 or 2 star riders who got penalties yesterday and had their fastest laps taken away from them. So the actual grid is perhaps not quite as representative as it might have been if they'd been allowed their fastest laps. The like of Steve Plater, for instance, he's back on the grid. John McGuinness is back on the grid because their fastest laps were disallowed. So we may have one or two riders, if they get a good start. This Le Mans start is always a bit tricky. You know, I thought Michael Russell summed it up very well. You're shaking knees, you're knocking knees. You know, the VIP riders will be used to running across the track, perhaps, or certainly keep control of their nerves. But the AM riders, the ones that are going to be starting this race, maybe a bit of nerves will get in. And that start is all important. A Le Mans start, to get down to Madgwick first, will count. And there'll be one or two riders that are misplaced, if you like, on the grid here because of their penalties yesterday.
And look at what the riders are wearing. They're wearing protective motorcycle boots. They're wearing tight leathers with knee pads. I mean, they're designed for being bent over on a bike, tucked down out of the wind. What they're not designed for is being Usain Bolt for 5 seconds. Very
interesting you should say that, because most riders, you'll see, they unzip themselves straight away when they get off a bike. That's not just for cooling purposes, that's because they're designed to be hunched over the bike. So when you unzip the front, it pings your chest out. It looks like you've got a pigeon chest.
Well, yeah, what happens is when you straighten up, suddenly things get squeezed that you don't want squeezed. No. So, OK, so the Le Mans style start. This is a 25-minute race. Pit window will be open from 8 minutes in to 16 minutes in. That's 16, not 17 or 18 if you want to avoid penalties.
There were penalties for that yesterday.
There were. So
now then, this is really important. The VIP riders are holding the bikes. Obviously, the AM riders have got to run across the track. 25 minutes, as Martin has just said. This is really important. When the flag comes up, these guys have got to run across. The VIP riders are holding the bikes are running, and any of the riders that are sitting on the bikes, there are some that can't run across, they've got to have it out of gear and with their hand in the air. So we'll wait and see whether there are any of those guys with their hands in the air. Look at this, knees are knocking then, time to go. There goes the minute board. When this flag is waved, they run across. Here we go then, the flag is up, the Union Jack is up, the Union flag has gone. Run across, get it in gear, don't stall it. That's a big problem if you do. The 55 bike gets away well in second place. Yeah. And that was yesterday's quick Michael Rutter bike that finished really, really well in second place in the end.
George Thomas leading on pole and leading away on the matchless that won yesterday, but he didn't really sprint across the track, and it looked like he was just taking his time to make sure that he was ready to go. He was ready to go. Drops back a couple of spots down to third place as they sweep through Madrid for the first time. Still in second, Ben Kingham.
Look at this though, straight away Ben Kingham gets in. That big HRD Vincent, it's a massive motorcycle, got big torque on it, but it's got hardly any brakes, and the way the front forks work on that is a bit unique as well. And looking for the blast up the inside, it's the 17 machine of Thomas. That's George Thomas who started this race, and he's partnered of course with James Hillier.
And look how different the riding style is. Our race leader Ben Kingham looks like he's on he looks like he's a motocrosser or some kind. You know, his elbows out, he's sitting very upright, whereas George Thomas on the matchless right behind, tucked down and looks like your classic motorcycle racing profile. Now the two Michaels, Russell and Rutter, had a great race yesterday with that Vincent Black Shadow, pulling each other along and geeing each other up on the straight, and they're in the frame as well.
Well, there's a little bit of messing about going, of course. This is, I think Jenny Timber summed it up very well when she was talking to our guys in presentation a bit earlier on, because she said it's difficult because it's a fun event, but then it's not. When you get out on the bikes, you want to be going as quick as you can.
Listen, hang on, there's a problem. Bike, you've got to be dead serious. Yeah, problem for 68. That's the Michael Rutter, Michael Russell bike. Russell starting, but up to third has gone number 12. That's Steve Brogan, Ian Bain rather, who shares with Steve Brogan. Well, Ian Bain, the Norton International.
Ian Bain's already having a great idea, because fourth in the Settringham Cup was his son. So in the kids race a little bit early on, Ian Bain's son has just got himself near to the podium.
And he finished on the podium in the first Settrington Cup race as well. So Bain and Brogan finished fifth yesterday, but that Norton Dominator up to third already as the leaders charge away. Ben Kingham leading George Thomas, 55 from 17. They were third and first, respectively, yesterday. The second place, 68, Velocet, just a fraction further back in fourth spot. You just saw it get passed by the Norton International.
Absolutely brilliant. So then, he's a big lad, the man in second place on the 55 machine. Ben Kingham, he had a penalty of 10 seconds. That dropped him to third place yesterday. Russell and Rutter were promoted up into second place. But that big HRD Vincent has got some grunt. Now, out front there is the 38 bike. That will be Levi Day and the Bradley Smith pairing. Levi Day started first yesterday and today as well.
Well, they are a lap back, I think, so they must have had a very slow start, because our race leader is definitely Ben Kingham, 55.
We might have an incident that's
corner
around
as
the
well.
track at the moment. Yes, it is the number 4 of Lee Johnston and Pierce, who was alongside him as well. That's
you
Nick
can see
Pierce.
the Manx Norton.
So Nick Pierce is okay. He's been put to the other side of the barrier, and Nick Pierce, they won't be taking any further part in that. So no bike swap for him. He can enjoy the sunshine. Yeah.
Or is that the lead change? Is that the bike?
No, that's the 38 bike of Levi Day that's in amongst them now. He got a bad start, so Bradley Smith, Levi Day are the pairing for that, and he's absolutely getting blown into the weeds as they get onto the straight here. It is still the 17 machine, the winner from yesterday, the Hillier and Thomas machinery on the Maxus G80 CS. The 1954 Matchy is just a bit outstanding for me. There's the number 6 bike, Parrish yesterday. Steve Parrish, of course, the legendary joker. But in between jokes, he's actually quite fast on a motorbike as well. And in this case, I think the Parrish...
That's Barry Burrell who's riding the machine.
Barry Burrell will be back. That's the Manx Norton, the 53 Manx Norton that they're out on.
Yeah, he's just ahead of bike number 7 with the red plate, and that is Duncan Fitchett, who shares with Jeremy McWilliams.
And had a good ride yesterday, that pairing as well. They were right up there. They finished 4th overall in the end and didn't pick up any penalties, which surprises me for McWilliams.
How close this is at the front of the field. Like everything else, whether it's on 2 wheels or 4, the racing is very close indeed.
Straight up the inside there.
Michael Russell takes the lead.
Michael Russell,
confidence, isn't he?
I said it yesterday. Michael Russell is at home in this class of racing. He's very, very fast on classic motorcycles. Michael Russell, I was slightly surprised that he didn't have the late race performance yesterday, but he certainly got the early race performance now.
Well, we heard earlier on that some of the teams are looking at carburettor jetting and so on, you know, maybe even thinking about a change of needle because it's a little cooler today than it was yesterday. Maybe yesterday was significantly different enough from practice that actually the performance wasn't quite there. And it's only when you really get up to the top of the rev range that you're going to find that it's either too rich or too lean and it's not running the way it should.
Now watch, he's making a load of adjustments while he's riding the Velocet MSS. Now, that's
I thought he was just massaging the tank. Come on, baby, come on, baby.
Well, it might be because it's not that fast on the fast parts of the course. I think the 2 following him, as soon as we get on the outer Levant down towards Woodcote, it just looks like they're swallowing him up a little bit down there. We'll wait and see again on this lap. Look at the front end of that HR. That Vincent is pretty trick. It's got a big torquey motor in it, but it's got virtually no brakes at all. Luckily, it's got lots of engine braking. No brakes at all, and the forks on it are just incredible. And again, look at that. The 68 bike just gets swallowed on the fast stuff by the 17 machine, the Maxus G80 of Hillier and Thomas, who's riding it now.
Yeah, but James Hillier got his nose briefly, George Thomas got his nose briefly in front. Number 17 with the yellow plate and then dropped back. The 2 Michaels, Russell and Rutter, have had a lot of races together here at Goodwood. They're a really successful combination, never far from the podium. Finished runners-up yesterday after a fantastic tussle for 2nd and 3rd.
Well, let's talk about the aggregate, because we are aggregating these 2 races from yesterday's part 1 and this one part 2, the best aggregate time. And Hillier and Thomas as a pairing have a 13-second lead coming into this race.
Well, right now, the top 3 were the top 3 yesterday, but you're right about the lead. And so you've got the owner riders who probably spend quite a lot of their lives regularly racing these machines against each other. So they know each other, they know their own bikes intimately. Then you hand them over to the pros, some of who, like Jeremy Williams, will ride this bike once a year, tops.
Well, I can tell you.
And so then you'll see maybe the performances will be slightly different.
Steve Plater will be riding his bike for the first time this weekend. It's a completely different bike today than it was yesterday or through practice. So Steve Plater, when he gets out there a little bit later on, he's going to be riding a motorcycle he's never even seen before. He will only just have sat on it.
So back in front goes George Thomas, number 17. Still Michael Russell behind him, and Ben Kingham is right there. Lots of other battles going on, but away behind them, 4th place is the Brogan Bain bike. So Steve Brogan, number 12, the Norton International, looked so quick early on. And then the bike that Eugene Laverty is waiting to take over, that's the number 11 supercharged BMW. That's in 5th place, the German rider Herbert Schwab with that bike. And you can see all these bikes we're looking at, all 3 of the leaders, they've got front forks, yes, they've got rear forks as well, so rear dampers as well. They've got suspension on the rear. The BMW has a solid mounted rear axle. It's just bolted through the frame. There is no suspension at all. It is the most evil thing you'll see at Goodwood.
Derek Bunning has got a bit of a smoky bike. Then the 51 bike is just pulling to one side behind, so that means Ian Duffus won't get a go, the Scotsman. Look at this round the outside. If you look at that Norton as well, I mentioned the front suspension, but the rear suspension is a monoshock suspension. To see something like that as early as that motorcycle was made, most bikes are monoshock nowadays, so it's quite an interesting bike all round, but it still hasn't got any brakes, and that would worry me slightly.
Well, again, you know, your perfect dirt tracker, really. It just
all rear brake and no front.
Exactly. Kenny Roberts would probably love the living daylights out of that bike.
He could ride a Garden Gate. Kenny Roberts Senior we're talking about. 1:34.178 is the fastest lap by Michael Russell at the moment. That compares with the 1:30.447 done by Josh Brookes yesterday. So quite a long way for the AMs to catch up with the pros.
And that was on that last lap, and that was where he was going around Ben Kingham. Ben Kingham now comes steaming by, and followed in him as well is George Thomas.
Indication there of how difficult that bike is to ride at the front end for the man in second place at this moment in time, Ben Kingham, because that big Vincent is just a little difficult on the brakes, but as soon as we get on the fast stuff, it's got some grunt.
Vincent Black Shadow, the superbike of its era, no question at all.
Beautiful motorcycle. That is one. If you don't see any other or sit on any other here in the paddock here at Goodwood, that'll be the one to be seen on. 15 minutes and 50 seconds to go of this race, and that must mean that we're getting close to the window of opportunity. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Somebody got penalised yesterday. I think it was the 11 and 18 machines yesterday, which was Eugene Laverty, and 18 was Hutchinson coming in.
Pit window was open at 17 minutes to go, so that was a lap ago, perhaps just before they got to the pit entry. It was still closed. Now it should say pit lane open. Who goes in first?
You'd want to go in as soon as you can, really, and let your pro rider go for it. Yes, that's a clever move. So
George
the
Thomas
comes in really, really early. So it will be James Hillier, the fastest man, right up until Josh Brookes went even quick. Look how gently he's coming down. It's 20 mile an hour pit lane speed limit, and that makes a big difference. Here is James Hillier waiting to get in on the Rich Energy OMG leathers. Holds the clutch, make sure he doesn't stall it, because that could be a problem. A smooth changeover as we go into the bottom 15 minutes time-wise.
Somebody there encouraging him to slow down, not leave the pits too quickly.
Man with the speed gun was keeping an eye on him. That was a very smart move, getting him in as early as you could, because he has the pace. The AM rider knows what he was doing. He was doing a great job, but it's going to be the pro rider that is surely going to be the quickest out on track, and that might be the race-winning move. Well,
they were the winners yesterday, weren't they? And they have come in as early as humanly possible, put James Hillier back on board. He started the race yesterday.
One of the points worth mentioning, Martin, and you've already been there with this, these guys don't ride these bikes as a rule, which means over-revving them or overusing them, sometimes the whole thing departs company.
Well, the chances are, in this race, the pro rider gets a much better bike from the owner than he gave the owner in
good point.
race one.
Very good point indeed. These are the leaders on the track still going for it, hammer and tong, the 55 and the 68. But it is now the 17 we watch to see if he's going to be able to grab any advantage from where he is. I think he will. Will they come in this lap?
Well, there was
come in this lap? Yes,
couple of riders changed.
No, they don't.
No. Brogan handed over to Bain, so Ian Bain now aboard the number 12 machine, so he's changed. Hutchie is on number 18, so Ian Hutchinson. Jeremy McWilliams on the number 7 machine, so that is the fourth of the bikes that has stopped.
Ben Kingham has just indicated to his pitboard holder that he's coming in next time. I think they were waving him in, so the 55 of Ben Kingham, the man leading this race at this moment in time on the Vincent here, right on shot. 13 minutes and a few seconds to go. You remember how close some of them judged it yesterday, Martin?
And the number 45 Max Norton out of the pits as well, and that has got its star aboard, John McGuinness. So if you're looking for the 45 Norton, it's got Supermac on board. But you're right, Brookes and King, Russell and Rutter. Now, they're leading now, but will they still be in the top 3 at the end of this one? There is the lead bike that has changed. He only dropped down to 6th position.
Yeah,
and
pretty impressive, isn't it?
2 purple sectors on the first flying lap for James Hillier. He can ride a bike, that boy.
No, James Hillier is a useful man. There's no doubt about it. Rides for the Rich Energy Yamaha team in British Superbikes, and he's looking pretty good here as well, isn't he? Interestingly to see that Ian Burrell, he's having a good day. fourth place at the moment, waiting to hand over to Steve Parrish. But Ian Burrell, fourth place, his son came in the Section Cup just before this. You were, I think, who was commentating on that? Ben Edwards, wasn't he? Here we go, leg out. That means he's coming in this time round. Will the 68 follow him in? When you stick your leg out like that, it's a motorcycle indication you're coming in. It's not just the doctor's dangle. Oh, that was close run. So he's going to do an extra lap then and lead the race. But it is the 55 machine that will come in now and hand over to Josh Brookes. The Australian was very, very fast. Not having a great year in British Superbikes this year at the moment on the Ducati, the Paul Bird Motorsport Ducati. But this time he's going to be looking. There's a bit crowded down there, but you do have to go really steady or you pick up a 10-second penalty.
You really, really do. James Hillier absolutely flying. Purple sector 1, top speed on the track. Purple sector 2. Blinding stuff from Hillier.
Just saw Michael Rutter standing by this side there looking a bit, maybe he's trying to sell books. Michael Rutter's got his Mark II book out at the moment as well. It's mainly about his dad Tony, who was a famous TT racer and short circuit runner in Grand Prix back in the day. Keep an eye out for that. If you see Michael, he's always got a load of books under his arm ready to sell if he can. So here we go then. That's getting a little tight. So
James Hillier
has he got a problem? Has he got a problem
behind him? You can see he's aboard the supercharged 57 BMW R57. There is the bike that was in second place. Now with Josh Brookes aboard.
That's the 17.
Yeah, there he is with the yellow plate and the bright pink helmet with the.
I'm a little concerned about the 17 of Hillier.
I wonder if he's had just a bit of a moment in traffic. Right behind him is the bike that is currently 6. So that's the Burrell and Parrish machine. Has not yet stopped. So Stavros waiting in the pit lane. So he's just put a lap. No, he's
coming out with them.
But he's past them. So he's now gone past the bike that is second on the road.
It surprised me that
he's now in second overall, and they've yet to stop.
It surprised me it took him so long to get going. Still the smoky 51 comes in. It's now Ian Duffus on that. You can see the Solitaire on his helmet, the Scottish flag on his helmet. So Ian Duffus has now taken over from Derek. But a little worry for a moment for me, and maybe some side. Whoa, hang on a minute. That was a Brookney bit, if you remember them so well, coming through the chicane there for the man on the 17 machine of James Hillier. Meanwhile, there's the change. Oh, and he's had to get out of that. That's so dangerous when you've got. They've got to get down to the speed limit in pit lane, and when you've got a fast rider coming through the chicane, it's so easy to tag the man that's slowing for pits.
Yeah, that BMW, that's Sebastian Goetz coming in to hand over to Maria Costello, and that bike coming in from what was third place, but they had yet to stop. So now Steve Hillier leads from Michael Rutter. They're the 1-2. The gap between them under a second at the line. There is Hillier.
Yeah, and he's just put in the fastest lap. 1:31.7 now from Hillier, and that's the kind of performance you would expect. The fastest lap in the AMS was 1:34. It's now down to 1:31.7. Still a long way off of Josh Brookes' time of 1:30.447 yesterday. So keep an eye on who's going to take the Mick Hemmings fastest lap award later in this session.
Well, I wonder if there's one for each race, because of course they'll be in different conditions. One could be wet, one could be dry.
When you've got aggregates involved, maybe it's an aggregate fastest lap. There you go, I'm giving you that for you to go for.
Listen, I don't need to be trying to do any mental arithmetic. It's hard enough keeping up with the excitement here. Come on, giddy up, baby, giddy up.
It's usually an indication to get tagged into my slipstream, and we'll try and make fast laps together. Or it could be giddy up. I have the suspicion it's to mention to another rider, don't take my line, let's try and make some fast times together. Right. No one ever takes any notice of it.
There's your race leader.
Looking neat and tidy.
And the timing screen is still saying that Rutter is 0.8 of a second behind him. Well, there is Michael Rutter, yes, and it wasn't 0.8 the last time we looked, and it's still not 0.8 of a second.
3.4 it is now.
That's more like it.
Michael Rutter is a long way. This is Michael Rutter. He's riding in the 145th anniversary Batham's outfit. They've done it especially for him, Alpine Stars, with the Queen's Jubilee as a celebration. Oh, that does look well. Come on, helmet spotters.
I can't tell who that is, I'm afraid.
No, neither can I from that distance.
It's not one of our lead group.
1:30.9 now from Brookes. 1:30.9, so the fastest man yesterday. That's the 38 point. It is Bradley Smith. That's
Bradley Smith. Okay, so Bradley Smith
is out. 1:30.9 now for Brookes. 1:30. 58.4 yesterday, so he's half a second off his quickest time. He's chasing these guys at the front. Brookes is fast. He's moved up into third place now overall.
Fastest race lap from Josh Brookes of anybody, 1:30.9. So he is trying to close the gap. He's coming up hard behind Michael Rutter. There he is, 55. Never mind hard behind. He's gone straight by Michael Rutter like he was standing still.
He's got to get in front of Hillier. He can see him because 17 is Hillier, 55 is Brookes, then it is Rutter on 68. So that fastest lap is closing him down. It's a question of how much he can do. What's the fastest Hillier's done? 31.7. So he's nearly a second faster than Hillier. Brookes, I'm talking about. He can catch Hillier, but he's got to be more than 13 seconds in front of him
to win overall
in the aggregate. So we're trying to work it out as we go, folks, as I'm sure you are.
Well, 7 minutes. He's got to A, catch Hillier, and B, put 13, well, nearly 14 seconds over him.
It won't happen.
It ain't happening unless Hillier has a problem. Of course, if you then have a problem and slow, then suddenly all those gaps get wiped out. But James Hillier right now, head down on the tank, flying out of Magic up toward Ford Water, goes by another of our lap.
Bill Swallow is out there as well. He was the pro rider out of the two, and Bill Swallow, he should have been out on that bike by now. Meanwhile, it's still Hillier, Thomas, Brookes, Kingham, Russell, Rutter, Burrell and Parrish. Parrish is having a right old go. Thank heavens when he stops joking and messing around. Parrish is actually quite a fast motorbike racer.
Yeah, he didn't get to be a quick rider by accident. Michael Rutter has just set that bike's fastest lap of the race, 68 machine in third place. The bike that finished second yesterday, that Velocet. That was after a couple of penalties, though.
You know, Martin, how we talk about how quick the car drivers are. There's such a lot of very good quality car drivers. Well, there's a few of those motorcycle men here to match that as well in this Barry Sheene Memorial race.
We've got the battle going on between Josh Brookes and Michael Rutter that we saw yesterday, where they were sort of pulling each other up, grabbing each other's leathers and just sort of pushing their rivals back with some really absolutely fantastic close racing between these two. And whatever the aggregate says, again, it's going to be these three bikes that are the dominant forces in the 2022 Barry Sheene Memorial Trophy.
Pro racers hate aggregate races. You want to win and get across the line under the flag, and I've got a feeling that Hillier will want to do that. I'm looking to see who's got the fastest lap this time round. Hillier's lead is 1.8 seconds over Brookes, so it's come down, but I just underline he's got to be in front of him. Brookes has got to be in front of Hillier by over 13 seconds. Oh, hang on, what's this? Parrish isn't out there yet, so this is going to be a penalty.
5 minutes late into the pit lane, where they were supposed to come in with 9 minutes left.
That'll be why they were fourth on the road. I thought Parrish was riding very quick. It wasn't the case at all. It was that Burrell went out for a long time. So Parrish then will be too late. They'll be getting a penalty there. And the number 2 bike comes back out as well. Now, he's very late. That's the Glenn English. Glenn English will be on that now. So Glenn English has got out there. They will be picking up penalties. They will not be taking any major places at the front of this field.
Here's the battle for the lead then. James Hillier right ahead of Josh Brookes, right ahead of Josh Brookes. I mean, Josh has pulled in a 2-second margin. It's now down to 0.2 of a second. Hillier had long looks over his shoulder last time down here. Josh Brookes was way back.
Look who they've just overtaken, a legend of Grand Prix and TT. Mick Grant, nearly 80 years old and still fast. He's on the number 10 bike. Mick Grant is an absolute superstar for anybody around there in the terraces.
There's going to be a change for the lead or two coming up here. That Vincent is absolutely electrifying in a straight line. James Hillier might make pretty much the same lap time overall, but it makes it in a very different way, the matchless. So he guns the machine out of the chicane, but as soon as we get...
Brooksy, 1:31.9 compared with the 33.1 of Hillier. It's still not going to be enough with only just under 4 minutes to go before we see the checkered flag. But what exciting racing we're getting yet again from the Barry Sheene Memorial.
Look, coming in, Josh Brookes and his riding partner Ben Kingham on that 55 machine, they knew with a 13-second disadvantage, unless something happened to the matchless, they weren't going to win on aggregate. We've got a faller at the chicane.
That's Jenny Timmuth, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Jenny Timmuth that's gone down. Jenny, she's just a wonderful person, Jenny Timmuth, on the 25 machine. So that grudge has gone down the road.
That is in Woodcote, I think. So that's right at the end of the lap. But again,
she told me earlier on today that the front end on that bike, you've got a completely different style to be able to ride the thing, because it just gets away from you, and obviously it has done.
Black Shadow has gone through. An 80-second penalty for the number 6 machine for stopping outside.
He deserves every one of them, is all I can say.
Well, that's one for every year of his life, obviously.
Maybe he'd only just woken up. He was having his siesta.
Getting his full speed in. Here's where the lead changed on the inside. Look at the 55, Vincent Black Shadow.
No, he's taking advantage of back markers as well. So that is just a bit spectacular there. And that's what I'm saying about pro riders. If that had been an AM rider, they'd have been just a little reticent there. But the pro riders just stick it straight through.
James Hillier had to go the long way around the outside. Michael Rutter went underneath the slower bikes as well, and he got right in the frame, but as he got by them, no, they've dropped him again, so he's got caught somewhere else.
Look at who he's coming up against now. Ian Simpson, another Scot now. Ian Simpson is a fast motorcycle racer, and he's about to be zapped, so Simo, unfortunately, is not on a particularly fast motorcycle. The 32 machine, then it's a Triumph T110, and the Tiger 110 is a good motorbike, but sort of outclassed by some of these. Is that Rutter coming down the pit lane? It is.
I was just thinking exactly that. It is Michael Rutter, so out of third place. So suddenly, that's Bain and Brogan in with a podium shot and a big
yeah, that's the 14 machine, the Triton Thunderbird of Billy McConnell. That'll be on that. The Skippy McConnell, the Australian rider, is out. If it's got any oil on the rear wheel, we'll be seeing flags early. We've got a minute and 45 seconds to go now.
To go after this. So this is all about the win. This is not about the aggregates. Our leaders, our winners yesterday on the number 17 matchless, far too far ahead unless they had a major problem
in aggregate
for anybody to overhaul them on aggregate. So this is about winning this race. Josh Brookes, 55. James Hillier, 17.
Yes, that's what we like to see. Behind them is Ian Simpson. He's a lap rider now, unfortunately for Simo. As some of the back markers come into view, we're going to catch them on this last lap because there's a big disparity in the motorcycle, well, delivery of power, we'll say. It's the bikes that are so different, the riders. Look at this, knee down Hillier, give it some. James Hillier, then he'll want to be finishing first on the track as well as first over aggregate.
So he's now trying to figure out how to get by a bike that is quicker in a straight line. Now, look at the way he comes out of the chicane, though. The low-speed pickup for the matchless is much better, but
mid-range grunt is much better on the HRD Vincent. Is so much better. So the 55 machine is actually not an HRD, it's a Black Shadow, of course. So the 1954 Black Shadow is leading the aggregate winner. Will he win this race? Will he win this leg of the Barry Sheene Memorial Trophy? Here comes Hillier looking for the outside. He's getting up to Tommy Hill, I think.
Yeah, Tommy Hill was looking down. I was really hopeful that he would be looking up by the time that they got to him, and he was.
Number 5, Tommy Hill, a man that had a massive race with John Hopkins in the final BSB round and then retired back in the day at Brands Hatch. You'll remember that. It was a huge race for everybody on the terraces. Yellow flag being waved. You mustn't pass under a waved yellow.
Well, I don't think there's a pass up here for James Hillier. His last chance is going to be out of Woodcote down to the chicane. The Vincent Black Shadow has got all of the grunt it needs to pull away down the straight.
Indeed, and the flag is already ready here for them. We're out of time. 25 minutes have done of the second leg of the Barry Sheene Memorial Trophy. The 55 is surely going to take this. Brookes is going to claim it as a win, and that's going to be important to him. It's going to be more important as he goes back to British Superbike racing, because he hasn't had one of these for a while. He's not seen the checkered flag for some time, except further down the field. Hillier then, he's going to fight on, but it's going to be Josh Brookes as he comes to the final chicane, makes it through there nice and smooth. We know Hillier's got grunt out of here, but it won't be enough to beat him to the flag. It's going to be Josh Brookes that wins the race, but James Hillier and George Thomas are going to win on the aggregate here for the Barry Sheene Memorial. A fastest lap of 1 minute 30.589 for Josh Brookes on that final lap. It will be Brookes that picks up the Mick Hemmings trophy for the fastest lap. It's absolutely outstanding.
He's had to ride the entire race on that big Vincent like it is a dirt track. You know, really quite upright, elbows out, shoulders. He's using the upper body to wrestle it round. On the final lap, though, he was tucked down like it was an 80cc bike, and he had to get out of the airstream.
We're waiting for Brogy to come to the line. Baywatch Brogan will be making it to the line, should be in third place at the moment. This is barring any penalties that have been awarded. We're going to be keeping an eye out for them, because we saw quite a lot of penalties arriving because of infringements in pit lane yesterday. Here comes the number 12 machine. Over the line he goes.
Your third place man.
Well, that's a long way back. But Steve Brogan, Baywatch Brogan as he's known, he's got a bit more bark on him nowadays, but he's still fast as you like. and runs a race school. So anybody who wants a bit of tuition, Baywatch is your man.
Wow, just off the podium in fourth, Eugene Laverty and Herbert Schwab. That's a pretty impressive result from them.
Eugene needed that as well. He's retiring at the end of this year from racing professional motorcycles. So Eugene Laverty, maybe he'll come back a little bit later.
Oh, right, because who's not going to ask him?
Indeed. So the number 11 then of Eugene Laverty comes over the line, no doubt about it. Josh Brookes, though, was the fastest man on this track this day, and as he was yesterday in leg one. The Aussie enjoying his time. You might be right, you know, the old dirt tracking style might just suit him. If you speak to Casey Stoner or any of the quick Aussies that come here, they do a lot of stuff in the bush and the like, and it just makes it work for them. More on the back brake. He will have had to have used engine braking and the back brake more than perhaps you would do it just about anywhere else. Front brake not working. There is that Hillier being dragged around? No, that's... It is Hillier driving, but I'm just trying to work out who's got on the back there at the moment.
Yeah, not sure.
So
there is your winner on aggregate. The number 17 bike that was quickest in qualifying won the first leg of the Barry Sheene Memorial Trophy. It was the bike owned by George Thomas, James Hillier, the star rider. So James coming back in. Yesterday, it was the pros that started and the owners who took over for the second part of the race. Today, the owners had to do the legwork across the track from the Le Mans start, and then they put their pros in. And in the case, certainly, of that matchless, George Thomas brought it in the moment he could, the moment the pit lane window opened, to hand over to James Hillier. Listen, if you've got one stronger rider in your armoury, that's the one you want in as early as possible.
So, as the bikes come back in, these guys know how to party, they know how to race, they know how to enjoy the real essence of the Goodwood revival. It means such a lot to them. All the pro riders here, they come back year after year if invited, and the Duke of Richmond puts on a fantastic event. And I have to say, the waiting list, if ever there was one, the exclusive waiting list, would be oversubscribed somewhat.
Now then, here is the overall aggregate result. Hillier and Thomas the winners, and Hillier and Thomas the winners, and that gives them a very handy 13-second advantage. Again, they didn't finish first in the second race, but they had a handy advantage in the first. So Brookes and Kingham with a win as well. So the Matchless took race one, the Vincent Black Shadow took race two, and Bain and Brogan on aggregate finishing in third place.
That's a great finish for them, you know, the two, Bain and Brogan. I mean, Bain's son finished fourth in the Section Cup.
Yep.
And so now Dad's just gone one better.
So three different machines in the top three: the Matchless, the Vincent and the Norton International. First Manx Norton, the Clues and Hickman machine in fourth place overall on the aggregate result, ahead of the blown BMW of Eugene Laverty and Herbert Schwab. And again, I think they ought to get special bravery medals for riding those hard tail BMWs.
Especially when they've not ridden them much before. Scott Smart, worth mentioning that Scott Smart, nephew of course of Barry Sheene himself, that finished in the fifth place as well, so that's pretty important as far as he's concerned. He's also an FIM technical director now, delegate I should say, so Scott Smart can still ride a motorcycle pretty well. Let's go down to Ed then in pit lane and hear the latest from them.
Steve Brogan, Ian Bain, what a cracking ride. Steve, did you know that you were on the podium in those final laps?
Yes, my team were good enough giving me pit board signals every lap, so I knew exactly what position we were in. But unlike yesterday's race, it was a very lonely race out there by myself. But yesterday's race with the antics that from some of the other guys definitely made up for it. But I still enjoyed it, and I'm very grateful to Ian Bain, my teammate, for giving me such an amazing opportunity to be here to race in front of many fans and enjoy this lovely bike, the Manx Norton.
Ian, success in the Setchington Cup, and you've gone one better now.
Yeah, it's quite embarrassing actually, because over the last 3 years, my two children have won far more Garlands than me. Well, this is the first one I've won for quite a while, to be honest, but my kids seem to have 5, so I'm catching back up a bit now, thank God.
Well, a cracking ride, well done guys. That's fine, second place, George Thomas, James Hillier. Sorry, go on, I'm going to squeeze in here. George, what a start. I mean, it was a hectic first few laps.
Yes, it was, yeah. Mike Russell keep me on my toes for sure. Here, riding very hard. Yeah, it was just a good, excellent race, really. Yeah, and watching James and Brookes on the last lap. Oh, I couldn't watch it.
James, you're the overall winners. You're going to want to go back to the BSB for a bit of a break after that.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I really, and you probably tell by the smile, I enjoyed that. It I don't know. Just screwed the last turn a little bit. I felt I got a good run, and I think the only gear I missed all race was that last run to the line. It would have been, I could see Josh was struggling running out the chicane. I thought that's where we could get him maybe, but yeah, good. You know, another great day at Goodwood.
Well done, guys, for the overall win. Now, first in this race, Ben Kingham, Josh Brookes. Josh, why don't we start with you? Josh, some ride at the end. This thing's got a bit of grunt, hasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is fast, but you know, the bike come into the pits and we were in a good position. That made all the difference, you know. So yeah, I took the bike and got set off after James, and I don't know if James had problems or whatever, because in the first race he was gone, and then in that race I could see we'll just slightly catch him back, and had Michael right behind me until the end there. I don't know what happened to him, but he disappeared. But then it was just a two-horse race, so to speak, and once I got in front of James, I sort of you know, I knew he was going to, well, I expected him to try and make a challenge in the last closing corners, but fortunately we just got a little bit of breathing space and brought it home for the win. So yeah, great job by the team. The bike ran perfectly, and yeah, yeah, I'm thrilled.
Well done, Ben. Come on in here. What an opening stint you had.
Yeah, that was good fun. Yeah. I thought they were quicker than they were yesterday, but we were all quite close, and just started to get the legs on them down the straight, and managed to sort of stay with them for a couple of laps. Then we got past, so to bring it in like in the lead was really handy for the changeover. So he's got something to work with, chasing James. So yeah, it was a great race to watch. I should think I'll watch it later.
Well done, guys.